My daughter this weekend was explaining about all this, and she said, Dad, can you explain what's going on? And I said, sure, it has nothing whatsoever to do with ICE. It has nothing whatsoever to do with illegal aliens. This has to do with fraud. What do you mean, Dad? What does this have to do with fraud? And I went back, and I said, what do you know about that video that went viral on social media about the fraud in Minnesota? And she said, all these daycares don't have kids in them. Exactly right, sweetie. But that wasn't the first fraud they found. The first fraud they found was in the organization Feeding Our Future. Feeding Our Future claimed to be giving meals to needy kids, claimed to have served 12.9 million meals, and it didn't actually serve any. This organization was getting funds from the federal government, from local governments, and it was able to do so because of legislation proposed by Ilhan Omar. Over 90 people were arrested and charged for this. Over 86 of them were Somalian. So now you're talking about you have a problem in that community. And the thing I said to my daughter was, did they create a list of names from ChatGPT? Or did they use people's names? Because then they should also be charged with identity fraud. But if they're not being charged with identity fraud, does that mean the 12.9 million people or people who received meals should be indicted as well because they might have been getting kickbacks to use those names? Now let's move on a little bit to some of the other fraud there, because now you're talking about a program that was supercharged after COVID that had no guardrails on it whatsoever, none at all. And Ilhan Omar was the one who sponsored that bill and pushed it through. Ilhan Omar's net worth went from nothing to $30 million. This massive amount of fraud doesn't get missed unless people want to miss it. Whistleblowers came forward, were telling people about it, and they said, if you expose this, we're going to call you a racist. Fraud number two. You have a whole bunch of Somali schools that claim they're working with kids with autism. In that school, we know that parents were signing their kids up for these schools so the schools could get money and give them kickbacks, and the kids weren't autistic. And they were defrauding the government that way. And yet, very few people have been charged for that when you're talking about the dozens, if not hundreds of kids that were supposedly in those schools. They were part of it. And we're not talking about that. Then comes the daycares. Then comes the millions, if not billions of dollars going to daycares in Minnesota and elsewhere that have no children actually attending at all. Notice you haven't seen big rallies, riots, or protests by these parents who go, you shut down my kid's daycare, because there are none. None whatsoever. Democrats were up to their eyeballs in allegations of corruption. So what happens? They see the perfect opportunity to do something about it. ICE gets surged to Minneapolis because a lot of the people committing this fraud is in the Somali community, is in the immigrant community, be it illegal or legal. In fact, I have a question for all of you. If somebody who immigrated to this country and became a citizen commits a felony, should they lose their citizenship? Give us a call or a text at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. So Democrats were just waiting for something to happen. Then you get the case of Renee Good. Renee Good is driving around with her wife, purposely there to disrupt ICE activities when they're going after pedophiles and murderers and rapists and God knows who else. That's who ICE is rounding up. And people saw that video, and they didn't ask, why is a car diagonal across the street? They didn't ask, why is a housewife/soccer mom smack dab in the middle of an ICE operation? Because they trimmed the video in such a way where you didn't know what happened before, you didn't know what happened after, and many people have not seen the ICE agent's own video, which shows she very clearly hit him with that car after her wife said, drive, baby, drive. But they wanted a martyr. So they created a martyr, and they're doing it again. That is exactly what they are doing again. And by calling everybody who's with ICE and every ICE agent, every member of the administration a Nazi, you are giving them permission to go punch a Nazi, to go kill a Nazi. Because the left loves to use that thing of what would you do in the 1930s and 40s? Would you stand by? And I'll tell you, you know what the majority of people would have done in the 1930s and 40s? The same thing they're doing exactly now. Maybe not with a cell phone. Maybe not scrolling while in the bathroom. But they would have been doing the exact same thing they're doing right now. But these people are so charged up, plus they want an excuse to riot. Hey, all the people that were rioting in 2020 haven't had a reason to riot in about 5-6 years. It's kind of cold in Minneapolis. There's some snow days coming on. Let's go do this. You do understand right now that all of this, everything that's going on, is a perfect distraction for the Democrats, which is why they are hitting it so hard. And for the activist class, it is absolutely what they wanted because they just want chaos.